youtube.com/PICASOENT014. Hey guys, what's up? It's your homeboy Picaso. Welcome back to another episode. This is Android Theming Like a True Boss, episode 2. Okay, so we do have our base launcher, icon packs, and we have our wallpaper. Okay, now again, this is from Multi-Picture Live Wallpaper, but if you're not into Multi-Picture Live Wallpaper and certain effects on your wallpaper, by all means, you could just have a regular wallpaper. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so now today guys, what we want to be looking at is actually starting to customize, starting to build the type of theme. So based on the wallpaper that you have chosen, whether it's like an abstract or something like nature or a cartoon or something like that, you want to go ahead and take in the wallpaper. And when I mean when I say take in the wallpaper, I mean look at it, look at how it's set up, look at the areas that you can work with. Now there's two different types of wallpaper themers, I call them. Okay, there's the just drop anywhere. Okay, so no matter what the photo or the wallpaper has, you just drop your widget, drop your icons anywhere, and this perfectly fine, right? There's always different types of people that do things differently. Me personally, I'm a look, see, figure out, then place type of wallpaper themer, if that makes any sense. Okay guys, so basically, we have this little abstract bird over here. Okay, then we have the branches on, then we have the flowers, and we have a little bit of basically a little open real estate, which I want to say starts from about right at the end of his beak to about this little bump on the branch all the way over. And then we do have underneath here, which I would only say is about from right here to here. Those are the areas that I see to actually put icons or widgets or something like that. So right off the bat, first thing is information. Okay, the most important information when you turn on your phone, you want to see your time, your date, maybe missed calls and stuff like that, music, what music information is playing, but of course music information that's playing for me is going to be on the third page. Okay, now what you can do, actually not the third page, I think I'm going to make it on each page, so it's probably going to show up maybe down here. Okay, so there might not be any icons, maybe even a folder. So that's the next thing. You can also have widgets and then folders, make everything correspond, but you know what, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and start with the time and date. So now I'm using 3 pages, okay, 3 different pages, 3 different types. One is for phone messages, stuff like that, the basic stuff. Then there's going to be a social page, then there's going to be a media and music page. Okay, so I say that I do use widget, sorry, not Widget Locker, Super Widget Pro. Okay, so this area right here is probably where I'm going to put the time, or I'm going to put the time down here and use up here for applications. So usually it does take me a minute to kind of think of what I want to do, but for the video purposes, I'm actually just going to keep it a little bit basic. We will always get a little bit more in expert mode, so to speak. So let's go ahead and tap and hold on the screen. Let's go ahead and tap widgets, and we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to go, oh, this stylus is kind of messing up. I'm going to use a different one. Sorry, I just grabbed a stylus. It's pink, don't judge me. So let's wait for them to load. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way over until we get to Super Widget. Here we go. So now for Super Widget, I always just grab the 1 by 1 and just place it down, because you can always resize it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right in the corner. I'm going to resize it to about there, yeah, and I'm going to bring it down there like that. Okay, so that's where our widget's going to be. Again, if you're a drop anywhere, you can just cover however space or whatever small, whatever big. Again, you don't have to do this exactly the way I'm doing. Obviously, you can just kind of make it your own. I'm going to put it about right there. I'm going to go ahead and tap it. You might get a pop-up just telling you to enable the launcher to use the widgets. I've already done so I don't need to. Go ahead and just tap OK or yes, or check the box or whatever it asks for. Then we're going to go ahead and click empty. Okay, now clicking empty, oh come on, is it the stylus again? Shouldn't be. Let's use my finger. Empty. Okay, it's probably the stylus again. Let's try this one. This is the one I was using the last video. I think this should be fine. Okay, so now we're in there. Now To always know where your widget is, you have an option of right here where it says widget background. Okay, it is kind of tinted, so now that we've tapped it, the words aren't going to be there, you're going to see, but it's still going to be a little bit darker, so you kind of know where it is. You can always make that transparent after you're done creating a widget. This is just so you know where your widget is. So we're going to tap it again. And what we want to do now is go into layout. Okay, this little plus sign up here, this is kind of turning into a create, you know, widgets using Super Widget tutorial, but hey, it's all part of it. This is how I do those themes, and my themes are getting better and better and better and better. Okay, so for this process, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so you kind of have a better view of what exactly I'm doing. Okay, let me just shift this down a little bit. Right there we go. Okay, so now rich text is what we're going to use. Don't worry about text, okay? I'm not going to get into that and the differences, but you want to go ahead and use rich text. I'm going to go ahead and bump up my size to about, let's say a 40, okay? Now the time's already there, but what you want to do is go into edit text manually, and up here where it says which one is it actually? Is it DHH? I think DHH, so let's zoom in up here a little bit more so you guys can see. So up at the top here where it says hashtag DHH, hashtag, or number sign, or whatever sign you want to call it, you want to get rid of the HH and put in a capital P. Okay, because the HH is army time. That's if you want to keep it, that's perfectly fine. It is in the army time, but hashtag capital D, capital P hashtag, that is the 12-hour format, not the 24-hour format, which is army time. That's what I call it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit the check mark up there, and now you can actually just hit back all the way and back out, or you can just hit the home button. I'm just going to hit the home button so you can take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and for me, I know where the widget is, so I'm going to go ahead and hit widget background. Okay, and then I'm going to slide this little slider all the way over so it's fully transparent. I'm going to select it over here, and I'm going to back out again, and then the background around the time will disappear. Okay, so very, very cool. That is the clock right there. Hit layout, and then you will see rich text right here. Now, to know what everything is, you want to go in. Sorry if it's moving a little fast, you can always pause or rewind or something like that, and you want to name it. So I'm going to name it test clock. Okay, so it's going to be test clock, and we're going to hit enter, not enter, back. You just want to hit OK. So now when I come to this page after, let's go right back. So when you tap on the widget, okay, it comes here, you hit layout, now you look, it says test clock, so you know that's exactly what that is, because we're going to be adding in more. Okay, so test clock, now it's kind of plain. I kind of like to have a little bit of depth, a little bit of 3D basically, so you want to scroll all the way down where it says blur, and you can hit basically, you know, you just test it out to see exactly what you want, but I'm going to go with 2, and then X offset 1, 1. It kind of just gives it a little bit of depth. Okay, so it's not just flat. So as you can see, it's going to take a little while, and there we go, it already came up. But if you look now, it sort of has a little bit of shadow to it. Okay, so it's not just flat on the page. Okay, and going like that, there you see, so the widget is there. Now you might say, if you're not familiar with Super Widget, you know, anytime that you go ahead and tap on the widget by accident, you're going to open this up. No, you can definitely fix that, and I will get to that in a moment. Okay, we'll do that. We'll show you all those little things to close up the widget, but of course still giving you the option to go in and edit if you want to change something. So let's get back in there. Let's go ahead and add the date. So we go layout again, had it the plus sign, rich text once again, and then we are going to come down here now, slide down, scroll down to edit text manually. Okay, and you just want to tap up here. Let's zoom in for this part once again so you can see better. So now you tap up here, get the cursor up there, and you want to go ahead and erase all of that. Okay, now Super Widget might look a little bit confusing, but once you start getting in there and working around with it, it's not that confusing. I think I have a tutorial on my page, on my channel. I'll look for that and I'll put the link in the description. Okay, so we want to go ahead and hit date. Okay, now the format that I'm going to go with is just very simple, but there's different formats that you can use if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to go with simple with day of the week, not long, so it's short, so day of the week, spacebar. And as you see, everything has its little code, so sometimes it's good to memorize the code or write them down so you don't even have to come in here. Well, you would come in here, but you could just kind of type it in yourself if you want, or if you're, you can always just, because if sometimes these confuse me, the explanation of what they are, it does confuse me sometimes, but yeah. So let's go, and I'm going to be looking for, and I think I passed it. I always seem to pass it. Date in the month right here. So that's hashtag capital D, lowercase d, hashtag. Now this is very writing within the rich text and the text. It is case sensitive, so keep that in mind. Day and month. I'm going to put a comma. I'm going to put another space and then year. There we go. I'm going to click the check mark. Now it's right there. You can see it. It's behind the clock. So what we're going to do is scroll down. My apologies. We're going to scroll up to y-axis and we're going to move it a little lower to about there. We're going to raise up the size a bit, maybe to about 20 so the date's not too huge. Again, I'm going to give it a little bit of depth. 2, 1, and 1. You can change the color of the shadow if you want. You can always do that as well. You can change the color of the font, and then here where you have text font family, text alignment, and drawing mode. I only use the alignment and the family. It's already on default, but sometimes I like to put it in center just to make certain. And now fonts. Fonts is another thing that you're going to want to do. Now basically, if you download Super Widget, okay, let's zoom out for here. If you download Super Widget or you're using Super Widget Pro, okay, what you can do is actually download other Super Widgets, right? Whether you use them or not, which is cool. Again, that is part of the theming. You can download some already created Super Widgets, and then you can actually put those in the device. And looking on the tutorial and looking on YouTube, you'll find other tutorials on how to do it. Or if you just download font packs and stuff like that, what you want to do is on your internal storage, you want to go in and you want to create a folder called fonts right on the internal storage, not in any folder or anything like that. Create the fonts folder there, and anything that you get with fonts, you just want to put them in there, and any application that needs fonts, it will be available to them. So basically, if you go ahead and you download some Super Widgets and you go into the Super Widget folder, if you download Super Widgets, then you're going to be able to come here and you'll be able to look in the fonts folder and see all the fonts that are there. Then what you want to do is you can copy from there and put them in the fonts folder directly on your internal storage. Okay, of course you can definitely leave them there as well, but when you're creating your own widgets, if they don't show up, then they will definitely show up on your fonts folder within the internal storage. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I'm going to select cabin regular. Okay, so there we go. So that's set up. That is in the center. It's named test date. Let's go back to test clock and let's actually center that as well. Default alignment is center, or I think, but you can center. You can put it to the left. You can put it to the right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It does for certain different reasons. Putting it to the left and right is cool at some times. Again, depending on the wallpaper, depending on the style you're going for. So let's go ahead and take a look at our widget. So far, this is what we got. Now, since it's dark, I have been actually thinking of kind of making the time and date like sort of grayish. So I'm going to do that very quickly. Let's go to color, and we want to go to about... Well, the thing is now, it's not necessarily gray because I'm trying to get that materialistic design look. I'm not sure if I'm even close to the color right now. Let's go ahead and take a look, maybe a little darker. I want to say about, not too dark really, but about there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy so I don't have to keep typing it in, because I definitely am not going to remember that. Let's select, let's take a look. Okay, that's like that. And now the shadow, it doesn't really matter for the shadow, but I am going to leave the blur on, so that's fine. Let's go into color. Let's go ahead and hold this down. Let's go ahead and paste. and let's select. There we go. Let's jump back out. It should look better on this wallpaper, kind of stand out a little bit more. Okay, so that does look a little bit better. I like it because also we are using the forgot about that. Again, we are using the dark material dark. So I'm going to try to actually match that material dark color. That's also going to be something very cool as well. Now, okay, so we have the time, we have the date. What if you're like me and you like, if you were to touch the time and touch the date, you would want to go to that correct application. This is the beauty of Super Widget. So we're going to go in, we're going to scroll down to module on tap. Okay, let's look up at the name. So it's test clock, so I don't assign the wrong application. Hit module on tap. This takes a couple of seconds. Sometimes it's really annoying, but it's the program. All right, what can you do? So we're going to come in here. Okay, it's loading up. Okay, so you have the option to, when you tap the time, it will go to Super configuration, which when you tap it, it opens up this the tool right here, or you could disable it so nothing happens, or you can force a Super update. I'm actually going to, I'm very surprised, it usually says sorry, it usually says alarm, so it just jumps straight into the alarm, but that's okay. Let's go ahead, and so by swiping over, you have the app list, and then you have shortcuts. Okay, so let's see if they have a set alarm shortcut that we could set it to. WhatsApp camera, I think I would have seen it if there was one right there, so there isn't. Okay, so let's just go ahead and set it to the clock. Right there. Okay, so now tapping it will open up the clock, just as that, and the application is binded. Let's go to test date. Same thing, module on tap. Okay, and we are going to put it to calendar, just like that. Okay, and that is done. So tapping on the time is going to open up the clock. I missed it the first time, sorry about that. Okay, okay, and then tapping on the date is going to open up Google Calendar. Very cool. Okay guys, so it's just beginning. You can already see what's going on. Okay, I am gonna have to bring this episode to a close. I have gone over the minutes already. But before we do go, one last thing that is important is basically it's going to go like this. So now you've created the widget. Say this is where you want to leave it at. It's not necessarily where we want to leave it at, but for this video we're going to leave it there. Okay, and so basically right at the beginning when opening it, before going to the actual layout, it does have widget on tap. You know, the on tap action again. So what we're going to do is two things. You can put an icon in to tap the icon and bring it up, or you can leave it locked and just open Super Widget and go to it and configure it, and I'll show you what that means. So guys, well, let's go ahead and scroll down. Let's name the actual widget itself. Okay, so we're going to name it, and we're going to go ahead and call it test Zoop. Let's just call it test Zoop. Okay, it's random, but yeah, let's call it test Zoop. So that is the name of it. Actually, that's a horrible name. So that is a horrible name. Let's go ahead and call it A for Android, theming like boss. What is that? AtLab. Okay, so AtLab time and let's go AtLab time and date. Okay. Oh, sorry, should have been zoomed in a little bit there. AtLab time and date. Alright, that's what we're going to call it, so we know exactly what it is when searching for it to fix it, and you'll see what I mean. So AtLab time and date. Let's go ahead and hit widget on tap action. Now this is where we're going to hit disable, so when tapping the widget or outside the clock and the time, the date, it won't bring up the editor or the widget editor, right? The tool here. So we're going to go ahead and hit disabled, locked. Now let's go and save it, and we're going to type the same thing. AtLab time and date. AtLab time and date. There you go. And we're going to go ahead save. Okay, so now it's saved that the widget is disabled, and it's saved the name of the widget when searching for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and back out. Let's test it. Let's not tap the time or the date. Let's tap around it, and as you see, it does not open the widget editor anymore. But tapping on the date, the time will bring up the clock. Tapping on the date will bring up the weather. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. So now, how do you get back to it? Say something you want to change the time, you want to change the format, you want to change the fonts. Basically, we're going to go into Super Widget, okay, right here. And we go into Super Widget, configure widgets. This is going to have a list of all the widgets that are on your home screens, and you would select the name. It's only one, so it already brought it up. You would come in here, do whatever you want to do, hit save, back out, and that's it. That's how you go ahead and get that first widget set up. Now, if you wanted to place the exact same widget on, you know, another page, which sometimes I do to kind of get a very fluid look, and sometimes I don't do it, just to kind of have each page significantly different, you can always do this and just put the widget in, and of course just resize it to exactly where you had it before. Tap on it. Instead of going to empty, go to SD card. So you go to SD card, then you will search, and here's @lab time and date. Click it. You could save it as @lab time and date page 2, and then come out, and it's going to take a second or two. There you go. So now it's on the first page, it's on the second page, third page you could do something totally different. So that is beginning, guys, okay? And yes, the second page, tapping on the time, will do the exact same thing. The only difference is it's not locked because we didn't lock it with the widget on top action, but the first one, the first page is locked. Oh, I'm on the first page. It is locked. Okay, guys, so that's just simple. So, thanks for joining in. I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of Android Theming Like a True Boss. If you do, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And as always, I'm your humble host, Picaso. I'll see you in the next one, guys. As always, stay original, be creative. Peace. I'm out. YouTube.com/PICASOENT014